One of the biggest discoveries that has been made concerning the new Xenoblade 3 trailer in the past few days was that of the apparent significance of the Ouroboros. This idea or image has shown up in two different places. Firstly, you have Melia's line at the end of the trailer.
Ouroboros abhor this world.
And then if you look at the official artwork of all of the party members, the symbol of the Ouroboros, which is a snake eating its own tail, can be seen somewhere on their weapons, as well as in these shots in the trailer. I can imagine a lot of you are now wondering, what exactly is the Ouroboros? Let's investigate. A quick Wikipedia search will tell you that the Ouroboros is an ancient symbol which depicts a serpent or dragon eating its own tail. It is often interpreted as a symbol for eternal cyclic renewal, or a cycle of life, death, and rebirth. This is particularly interesting as it ties heavily to the concept of life, which Tetsuya Takahashi, the director of the series, has stated is the central theme of this new Xenoblade game. Vague indeed, but I do wonder if this theme of life has a more literal interpretation, which I'll talk about later. Another concept linking to the Ouroboros is the repetition of clocks found in the trailer. There are two key lines returning to this. Firstly, we have what sounds like, "What good's filling up these flickering clocks in our eyes?"
No, what good filling up these flickering clocks in our eyes?
From the character known as Uni, although her thick accent makes it hard to tell exactly what she's saying. This sentence doesn't seem to make sense out of context, but nonetheless, let's continue. The other line which references the idea of clocks is spoken by the Gomotu Mio, who says, "The flame clock, it has to go," while battling this Agnes mech alongside Noah.
The flame clock, it has to go!
If this line is indeed said in the corresponding scene in the trailer, it seems to indicate that these mechs are known as clocks. Hey guys, post link a lot here, actually adding this in now, this is not in the script, but since I wrote that part of the script, Monolith's Twitter has posted out some information about some of the stuff in Xenoblade 3, and one of them was these mechs, and if you translate it, the tweet said that these mechs are actually called Iron Giants. They could also be known as clocks, but I just wanted to add this in here because it does seem to suggest that when Mio says clocks here, she is not talking about them, because these are instead called Iron Giants. Anyway, keep that in mind. I will continue. Another thing worth noting is that many of these mechs seem to feature this ring shape somewhere on their design, being filled to varying degrees with either the green energy of Agnes or the blue of Kieves. This imagery is also found on many of the characters' weapons in the trailer, but what's strange is that it doesn't align with how these ring shapes look in the official character art. Perhaps when these meters are full, they transition into the purple Ouroboros shape? Interesting. With this information, let's move on to some theories, one revolving around time, and the other around the concept of life. The first interpretation of what all this means is that it is in some way connected to time. Perhaps this world has been reborn many times over in a cyclical nature, with its overseer repeatedly consuming creation and then rebirthing it, somewhat similar to Zanz's planned destruction and renewal of the Bionist in Xenoblade 1. This overseer could be Alvis, if this world is indeed the one Shulk created with his help, suggesting that he may be taking on a more villainous role this time around, which I think would be really cool to see. Maybe he is unsatisfied with what this world of his has become, and so has reset it many times, but every time the outbreak of war between Kieves and Agnes is inevitable. Maybe the mechs or clocks are also connected to this idea, with the meters and their varying levels of completion representing how long this world has left before its destruction and reconstruction. However, this doesn't seem to make sense, as all the meters are at different levels of completion as previously stated. Let's also take a look at how Melia's line could connect to the idea that the Ouroboros represents time. If Ouroboros is indeed Alvis, or Ontos, who Melia would likely have known existed, from Shulk telling her, perhaps she is saying that he despises this world for what it has become, and wants to try again. The idea of Alvis being the Ouroboros also links to this line at the end of Xenoblade 1 in my opinion.
I am Monado. I was here at the beginning. and I will proclaim the end.
I am Monado. I was here at the beginning, and I shall proclaim the end. Suggesting the worlds he creates always function in a sort of time loop, which he births and ends. There's also a possibility that the seemingly heavy thematic importance of clocks and the Ouroboros is hinting that some form of time travel is involved, although personally I really hope not, with this likely being done through the use of the conduit. This could explain how Van Damme, if we assume this character really is him, is seemingly alive after his death at the hands of Malos in Xenoblade 2, and also how the Mechonis sword is seemingly whole again. Hey, this bit is actually not from a script, I just want to throw it in here, because I've heard some interesting ideas from other people that Ouroboros could be the name of a sort of neutral third faction in this conflict, which, instead of being one of the sides actually fighting, is working to bring down the whole conflict and stop it. Particularly this third faction could be our party members. It would explain why them, and seemingly only them from what we've seen, ever have the full purple Ouroboros shape on all of their weapons. It would also mean that the line that Melia says, Ouroboros abhor this world, she's basically saying that our party members, they hate this world for what it has become, and they want to change it. Anyway, that's just an interesting idea I've heard, and now I will move on to the next idea. I think the more likely connotation of the Ouroboros is that it has something to do with the concept of life and reincarnation. Perhaps there is some form of mass reincarnation occurring in this world, explaining how a character who greatly resembles and sounds identical to Van Damme is seemingly alive. If we interpret souls in this universe as being something similar to ether, maybe there is a shortage of new souls, or ether, to go around, and so the same souls must repeatedly be in circulation, passing through different bodies and different lives. This links to an idea I had that this war is ultimately fought over a shortage of such ether. Agnes needs the ether of fallen soldiers to power their mechs, with the meters or Ouroboros symbols representing how full of soul energy they are. Their flutes are used to capture this ether or spirit energy, which is later used to power their machines. On the other hand, Kiev wants the ether to pass on naturally and move on as it should, and so their flutes are used to help the spirits of the fallen naturally ascend to whatever afterlife exists in this universe. Therefore, the role of Offseers is very different depending on which nation you are from. While the process of playing a flute is the same in both cases, the reasons for doing so are very different. Another reason Agnes may need all this ether is that it could be a nation primarily composed of evolved blades, as it represents Xenoblade 2, who no longer require drivers to exist, but as a trade-off can only exist for very limited periods of time unless they are routinely supplied with ether energy from fallen Kiev soldiers. Their meters represent how long they have left to live. However, this doesn't explain why both the soldiers and mechs of Kiev also possess these meters on their weapons. Maybe both need ether in order to live, meaning the line fighting in order to live and living to fight makes a lot more literal sense, with the purpose of fighting being to take the spirit or ether energy of fallen soldiers, thereby increasing your own lifespan. It's an incredibly dark concept, but extremely Xeno in my opinion. Also, the line that Mio says to Noah in the trailer,
Fine for you, isn't it? All that time you've got.
Easy for you, isn't it? All that time you've got, also suggests this. Therefore, if this is the case and there is indeed a shortage of ether to go around, maybe what the Ouroboros is representing is that soon the world will collapse, as it won't have enough ether to continue its existence. It will metaphorically consume itself. And those were my ideas, with some also being inspired by various theories I've heard from the Xenoblade community concerning what exactly the Ouroboros could represent in this new game. If any of these ideas, except maybe time travel, are even somewhat true, I would be very happy. This game's plot sounds like it has a lot of potential. With that being said, thank you guys very much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye!